In the diagram at the top you can see what's called the relationship diagram, and it shows that type of relationship which has a significant bond or attachment in it. Firstly here we have the two individuals as discrete people, the husband and the wife. Then as two people begin to form a relationship which has some depth, that is, they show emotions and affection to each other, these two separate parties, their sense of self or their boundaries tend to merge, and they develop what is called an attachment or a bond. There is a fusion of their identities. It is difficult to discern your boundary or where you end and the other starts when you have an attachment of this kind. This of course can occur in varying degrees, and in long-term relationships such as a marriage, the degree of attachment can get quite considerable indeed. It is important to never underestimate the power of human attachment. It is a very strong force and a very strong motivator in what people will do. It can result, if someone who has a strong attachment to another person perceives that attachment to be under significant threat, then they can do very odd and very strange things indeed. For instance, that's how you get some sort of stalking behavior. One party ends the relationship and the attachment from the other party is just too strong, so they have to continually seek them out. The crime of passion, the murder of the wife or the husband's lover, can also occur from this. And indeed we have those very tragic situations when a mother may, in the family court, the father may be given custody of the children. Then a month later, when she has access, she takes the children in a car out to the country and gasses herself and the children. A human attachment can get people to do some very strange things. She could not accept or live with the broken attachment to the children, so she will go to those extent. However, there are occasions when, for instance with the husband and wife, when in the second picture you'll see that when hubby dies, that's the kind of situation you get there. The husband of course has no sense of individuality. He is dead. He's gone, he doesn't even know it. So this is the wife's perception of the relationship at that point. So she has her individual self, and she also has an attachment to a person who's no longer there. She has this attachment to an individual who's no longer there. So what can she do with that? Well, there are many things she can do. Some people trick themselves and will use all sorts of techniques to pretend the other really hasn't kind of gone. They're still there somehow. So they don't clean out the dead person's clothing, or whole sorts of techniques. They'll talk, when you talk to them, it's like when you're talking with, for instance, the wife, she'll talk about her husband as though he's still alive and stuff like that. However, in most circumstances, that doesn't happen, and the person will go into a normal grief or bereavement phase. The goal of that bereavement phase you can see in the next diagram. The goal is to get to the stage where the attachment from the wife's side, the attachment has gone. That is the function of grieving in the first place. It is the process by which that attachment, as you see in the second level of the diagram, disappears in the third level of the diagram. So you end up with the wife who is just sitting there, who has an individual herself, and the attachment to her husband is gone. The normal grief process is really not complicated, and it's not. It is a simple process. It obviously is a very difficult process at the same time, and involves a lot of feelings of anger, of scare, of sadness, and all those types of things. And if they're expressed and dealt with, then the grieving process results in the end of the attachment, and that's finished. The wife has many fond memories of her husband, but there's no more major feelings. There may be times 10 years later when she sees something and sheds a tear from him. That's perfectly normal. It's when the grieving process gets mixed up and not allowed to progress properly, when you don't lose that attachment. Of course, in the bottom picture there you can see that the wife has let go of the past psychologically, and now she's ready to move on to the future. If that means another relationship, she's ready to do that because The bonded part of herself is now freed up and open to any new relationships that she may get into.